Hi, she's the quintessential 90s sweetheart. In a career spanning 30 years, she's done various films in Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. She's worked with directors as diverse as Mani Ratnam. She's worked with actors as diverse as Amir Khan, Akshay Kumar, Salman Khan, and she's still red hot right now. I'm in conversation with Sonali Bendre for the Danube Properties Filmfare OTT Awards 2024, co-powered by Hyundai. So welcome to the show, Sonali.
Thank you. What a lovely intro. And I love the way you mentioned Mani Ratnam, with whom all I've done is a song. I wish.
But it's an iconic song.
And I wish I had done a film with him, but unfortunately that's not happened. But maybe it's never too late.
Yeah, it's never too late.
Let's put it out in the universe.
Yes, always. So my first question to you is, you took a break, you had a baby, then you came back, you did television, you did dabbling with so many mediums. Do you feel is there any kind of difference?
Yeah, there is a difference, but being in front of the camera is being in front of the camera. Somewhere there's something similar in that aspect. But the funny part is that, like when you mentioned television, I did television before I had my baby. So when I had done post Sarfarosh Hum Saath Saath Hai, after that is when I actually did television. And I don't know if you remember, but at that time everybody was talking about has she lost it, because television was like looked down upon. And I was doing this show which was called Kya Masti Kya Dhoom, and it was a talent show. I've been associated with this talent show since then, and it was a talent show and a kids show, and I had guests on it, and we used to do all these things. And I think the only other person from movies, if I may say so, that who was on television at that time was Mr. Bachchan for Kaun Banega Crorepati. And then this was the show that had come up, and I was like, I was also at a phase, though I had films for the longest time in my career. I was working with all the top actors and all of that, but I didn't have a so-called hit to my credit. And now here I had bona fide hits, and yet certain things I felt like was just not moving for me. And there are various reasons for it. There are different choices that you make. And I was dating Goldie, and he said that television is really going to just blow up, and there's always an advantage of an early bird thing. And I just held on to that, and I said, you know what, yeah, I've been working for so long. If you remember, Jitesh, at that time, one film used to take 5 years, 6 years, and you would keep going to different sets, and you kept. So by the time, frankly, the money came to you, it was trickling in. It was never like, you've done so much work, you're working non-stop, but there's not like okay, I did so much and I have this. It's very different today. At that time, it was not like that. You did a few ads and you could do that. You put things together, but it was not like what would you call it? I don't know if it's the right word to say it, but you didn't have like a retirement fund. I never want to retire, but what I'm talking about, like having that thing. So I just felt that with the way things were going, and after having had the hit and what kind of films that were coming, and I just felt things are really not changing so much. And if I don't take a chance, what's the point? And when Goldie said what he said, I said, you know what, I'm going to do this show. And I really did have the early bird benefit in that. It was also a show on Star, which was a foreign company, MNC, which was in. So, I was paid accordingly. So that kind of gave me, and I came from a very lower middle class family, and I was in movies for the paycheck. I'd come in because I needed the money. So doing that show kind of gave me a little bit of breathing space where I could say, okay, if I don't go to work today, it's fine. If I take a little bit of time off to think and to evaluate something, it's fine. My bills will still get paid. That breathing space is what I was not achieving. And that show gave me that breathing space. So after Kya Masti Kya Dhoom, it was I got married. I was doing Telugu films, Tamil films. I was doing films in South. Actually, in that sense, a pan India, like how they love to call it now. I was like, we were doing it all the time, but now there are these new phrases for it. But yeah, I was doing all of that. I was doing other movies also. And it's only when I got pregnant is when I actually stopped doing movies and stuff like that. I took the break, as you said, at that point of time. But it was not break from work because while that break was happening and while I was growing with Ranveer, I did theatre, and it was the sequel to Tumhari Amrita called Aapki Sonia with Farooq Sheikh. I love him and I miss him even today. But so that's what we did. I really enjoyed it. It was another big chance to take because I mean, just imagine the guts to do a sequel to what Shabana ji is doing. But yeah, I said, yeah, it's really. So the thought process at that time was that listen, at the most anyway they say that I'm not good at acting. So big deal, they say the same thing again. But I needed to try it out because a lot of people said that when you did theatre and because of that, your acting skills and whatever, it was important. I said, I want to know if I'm acting, I want to know what is this theatre, what is it that I have missed out on? Let me understand it. So it was more a learning for me and I really enjoyed that process. I mean, I was doing that. I was doing that show till literally 8.5 months of my pregnancy. I was doing that play. Once I was done with it, I also realized that for me, I need to move on from things. Like some people really enjoy the fact that they can say the same line in 40 different ways, and it's an amazing talent to have. That's not my talent, and I kind of move on, and I find I get a little bored with it. So I'm like, okay, now what is the next thing? What is the next thing? So theater, I realize, is lovely, but not really for me. I want to move on to the next project. So that was my thing of it, which I understood from it. Then I think probably the only part where I was not working would have been about till Ranveer turned two. So I started with that, went on to doing Indian Idol, then India's Got Talent, and every year I just kept doing this. So for me, I've not really taken a break to come back, so to say. But yeah, fiction has been a bit of time after that.
After a hard day's work, how do you unwind at home? What is your, like, you have a favorite corner, favorite space where you want, and how do you do that up?
So my house has different corners because I think once an actor, every time I look at a corner, if I'm sitting, I'm just looking at what will my background be. I know it sounds mad, but literally, it's like, what will my background be? So if the angle was from here, then if what will it look like behind? I actually think of it like that. So I have different corners in the house, and they all have different significance, and I use it at different times. But for me, the unwinding, yes, I run a book club, so definitely reading. Though that's the negative of social media. Attention span is becoming so less that reading is becoming a challenge. But going back to see the attention span problem, but going back to the question you asked, I think for me, unwinding is my dog. So when I go home and when I meet my puppy, and that I think is my first step of unwinding. And so it usually happens in the corner where her bed is, and she comes with her toy, and you're kind of playing with her and all of that. That becomes my first, decompression. Is that? And after that, there is reading corner, or that reading corner doubles up as internet corner where you're watching rubbish rabbit hole reels sometimes. You know how it's a rabbit hole, you go down it and you suddenly don't realize you've been.
So, what is
down it.
special about this corner?
A nice couch, being comfortable, something that you can sink into. And the other corner that I really like is where the coffee machine is close by. So first half of the day goes near that so that I can have as much coffee as I want. But I don't have coffee after in the second half because then that wires me up too much. So yeah.
Is there a favorite city or place that you modeled your house on?
Mumbai is my favorite city.
So is there any corner in the house or any something that reminds you of maybe some holiday you went? Is there anything?
Artifacts would be there, but I think for me, as a book lover, I would say my best travels have been through my books. So even if I travel to most of the places, and you can say, but it's the stories that make me want that place. So sometimes, even if I've not been to that place, I feel like I have been there. And sometimes because I've read something and then you go to that place and you feel like this place, that it's an old friend. So for me, I would say that the corner where my books are, which is like a TV room where I have my books, is still, it would be one of my coziest corners in the house, because the books are there, the memories are there, and yeah.
When you do something intense, how do you unwind? Like when you do something, something so intense, and like you said, I will come to that later. But when you do an intense role, is there some mode of unwinding?
Before I did Broken News, I did go through. I did try to do a daily, which was a fabulous story that Ekta had come to me with. It was called Ajib Dastan, and it started off beautifully. I was supposed to do like 6 months of it. It was a limited thing. At that point of time, there was no OTT. This was before my cancer diagnosis, and I did 6 months of it. And it was a very intense role. Every day there were hours of a lot of intensity that one felt. I must say that when I finished it and when I walked off the set, I was so lightheaded and light. It was like a catharsis. So I find that when you do intense scenes, I really hope that the kind of intensity that you have to go through it, I really don't want to go through it in my real life as much. So I'm very happy to have to go through intensity in the characters I play, because I can play that character, I can be somebody, but I don't really have to live with the consequences of being of that action, or of being that person, or of feeling all that emotion. So it's more like a catharsis, like when I feel like I kind of put all that could have been built up into something, goes into it, and I don't have the time to say, for example, if I've been like having an issue with somebody, be it my mother, say I've been irritated with her. I've gone and I've put all the energy and all the angst into the role. I come back, even if if that thing continues, I'm suddenly dealing with it in a different way, because I have been through it. I have felt that emotion. The graph is over. I'm ready to move on. So I find that doing intense scenes is like a bit of therapy for me.
What did you discover about yourself by doing stuff like something like Broken News? You were working with people you've never worked with before,
Yeah.
whether it's Jaydeep
Yeah.
and all of, and what was it like? How did it change you as a person?
I was very scared to do Broken News, because so many things have changed, Jitesh. It was so different. I mean, quite frankly, something as simple as the camera doesn't make a sound anymore. And for the first time, when I was really, it freaked me out. Like, it was just, I was so out of that. You were so used to the sound of the camera, and then you did your lines. You was used to that. So that silence was, you dubbed. So sets were never so silent. And now here it was a different thing. So that kind of silence was just like, what is happening? You were so used to working with the various, you kind of found comfort in that. So something as simple as that was like, I needed to find my rhythm again in that sense. But it was fabulous to find it again, because um, it's so much more easier to be able to do that. At first it threw me off, but after that it was like, it was just fantastic to be able to do that. Also at that point of time, you know how it was. You did everything. You know, I mean, now you have your stylist, you have PR being handled, and so everybody is doing. Every department is being handled. It has its plus, it has its minus, but
Too many minuses.
no, that's what you will say. I will say too many pluses, because otherwise, you were handling, as an actor, you were handling everything, and there was. I love the fact that I can at some point switch off and say that this I don't need to deal with. There is somebody who will deal with it, which means it will not get done, but it will get handled. I don't have to be the one handling it. So I love the fact that there are people handling different things. I don't mean you need 10 people to handle it, but one person handling the certain department makes a huge difference to me. And I was also always a very professional kind of a person when I was, that how it was with me. I never had a mother who came with me or somebody else in the family handling things. I was never that person. So, in fact, my husband Goldie always said that you will enjoy working today, because that's how you used to work. Because what I do now is how I used to work at that time also. So I never had that 5,000 people around. I still don't. I have few people only around, but yeah. So
Nice.
Broken News that way was different. Uh, The other thing about Broken News was also I'd gone through an illness, and the treatment of that illness was very debilitating. So it had really depleted me. I was very physically. It had taken me some time to understand that will I be able to do it physically. So as physically I grew strong, but what I realized was that there was a lot of brain fog. So my memory was no is not what it used to be. Earlier, we were handed lines on set and light is going, this is going, say the lines, and you read it and you said it. There was no time to kind of digest it or think over it, or you just did it. And now I realize that I don't remember the lines, and I started getting panicking about it. Then after a point when we sat down, and my director, whenever he pointed this out to me, he said, "Why are you getting so worried? But you've got it." I said, "No, but I didn't." He said, "But who gets it in one go? Everybody around has been reading this for a while now, and today they're coming." I said, "Yeah, that's true. I don't need to know it at once. I have enough time to prep and then come, which this luxury I've never had in my life before." So it was wonderful to kind of discover that, and, to be able to prepare for a role and then to go there. Then, the joy of working when you are able to prepare and understand the graph of a character and then go on the set and do it it's just joy. It's beautiful. It's liberating to be able to work like that. And yeah, that was very different for me, and I really enjoyed that part.
So may you always get your due, may you earn more stripes, and may you always stay relevant. Thank you for being part of this conversation.
Thank you, Edie.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was fun talking to you. It always is, Jitesh. Whenever I've had a chat with you, it's always been fun.
Majja.
I think that's you also, because you always make me comfortable. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.